And also remember, don't believe what I'm saying in this video. This video is all for entertainment purposes.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also.
People are going, your brother BOLO V&R, you know, somebody outside and they try to get a computer fixed, right? Now, this video when I come across, I really have to share with you because I want to hear the story. You know, usually you see females go a court and, you know, them get a favorable sentence. Even in some of the darker situation, the female them get a favorable sentence. But ladies and gentlemen, in that one yeah, different. So we want to take a look upon this, right? And remember if you like, share, comment and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. We want to listen to the audio very, very carefully and examine the audio. And when we're done, now I'll give me commentary. Zane, alright, check this out.
Now, a Houston mother is paying for her crimes. She forced her children to live in horrible conditions in their apartment, according to prosecutors. Here's a clincher. With the skeletal remains of their 8-year-old brother. Gloria Williams, you see there, has been sentenced to 50 years in prison after pleading guilty to injury to a child. Her son, Kendrick Lee, you saw there earlier, was beaten to death by her husband, Brian Coulter. Prosecutors say the child's rotting body was covered by a blanket. Williams left his 2 siblings at the apartment for nearly a year, which had no furniture or bedding, but was infested with flies and roaches. Police were finally called to the home by the teenager. Brian Coulter has been sentenced to life in prison without parole for murdering the young boy. Joining us to talk about it, Dr. Angela Jones. This is just, and was that Brian, the father? Can we put him up really quick so we can see the father, the one who did the damage initially? Let's put him up if you can. That's the father. So it's just horrible, mind-blowing that parents would allow this to happen. And what we've seen is there's some husbands or boyfriends, mainly boyfriends in the past, where they abuse their girlfriend or their partner's children.
Correct.
How do we get there? How do we allow this to happen as parents?
You know, it's unfortunate because you already probably know that the children spent their whole life in an environment like that. And that means that she has been conditioned to allow it, been conditioned to feel probably like a child as well and allow this type of behavior to happen. So it's clear that there's a lot of mental health issues going on in this home. And so you don't really have reason. It's kind of hard to think like, why would somebody do this? Because you're not dealing with someone who's reasonable in their right mind. You're dealing with someone who is clearly insane, you know, to allow a body to rot. And not only that, to subject your other children to the rotting smell, the sight of their brother for a year. And so, you know, I'm hoping that they have done psychological testing on her. I hope they've done psychological testing on him, but clearly there was a lot of hate, a lot of self-hate, and not a lot of love in that house. So those children are going to need a lot of care.
Was she, and this is no excuse, was she likely a victim as well when we talk about physical abuse?
Very likely. It is very likely she was a victim as well. I don't really know all the details of the story, but I would guess yes. But her loyalty wasn't to her children. Her loyalty was to her husband, because they left the home and they went somewhere else and they left those children there. They had no loyalty, no love for those children. It was them two and that's it. And they probably had the mentality of Bonnie and Clyde, but this is something way sicker and very demented.
And of course, her attorney at the end of the case said, and you see him there, or that may or may not be him there, but her attorney of record said she had nothing to do with this. She didn't do this.
Right.
And people would beg to differ.
Absolutely.
You did this because you allowed this to happen.
You allowed it to happen. You may not have been the hand that caused a strike to kill your son, but you allowed that body to rot. You didn't report him, and you never probably reported him. Those children, the ones that are still alive, were abused by this man. You never did anything to do. You never did anything. So yeah, you probably didn't have a hand in it, but you put those children in harm's way, intentionally and for your own gain, whatever that gain is. So she is absolutely guilty. She is absolutely to blame as well.
And why do we see this so often, and not to say it's all women, but what we've seen is a lot of men abusing their children, whether it be their biological children or their girlfriend's children, and those mothers stand by and do absolutely nothing. And they support them, and they still love the person who killed or harmed their child.
You know, you see it all around the world. I mean, you just had a story with how they're trying to change the laws to allow 9-year-olds to get married to grown men. There is, unfortunately, an international culture of women and the dynamic with men that you do as I say, and I'm the one who has the power. And if you are able to get into the mind of certain people, and I'm not going to say weak people, because I have seen mentally strong people get broken down into a way by deceit, manipulation, and lies. And unfortunately, she may be a victim in that way, but she also is responsible to take care of her children. So, and she didn't do that job.
And many times we as family members and friends see this abuse going on. Many times they hide it, that being the boyfriend or the husband.
Right.
Or sometimes they're so violent they do it in front of family members and friends.
Right.
If you see this, what would be your advice to those who witness something like this? Even though that may be your family member, the wife, or your friend, you know, do you call the police and like, I don't give a, here's what's going on?
I would say the first step is to try to get that family member out of that situation immediately. I'm not saying over a day's time or
but we know the girlfriend or the wife is typically poisoned in
right,
the
they
mind.
usually are poisoned. But especially if there are children involved, you need to call the police ASAP. You just have to also realize that you are now going to be the enemy and that you're probably not going to have a relationship with this person unless they wanted you to call the police.
Resolve that
but
in your mind.
You have to understand that you are making a call that is for the greater good. And you are trying to protect not only them, but honestly, everyone else that's involved. So you have to be the bigger person and take that big step and protect your family by any means possible. The only problem is you do that and they still will stay with the person while the other person is in jail, giving them commissary and everything like that. So it's more than just a call to 911. It is they need help.
All right, Dr. Angela Jones.
So the information in that video there I find very disturbing, right? Because the child was unalived, right, by the individual, the brother. And the two of them leave the place for 1 year with the kids them, with the cops covered by just one sheet. I'm not lie to you. Even in this situation, she still get off with look a bit. The woman still get off with look a bit. When you're talking about being culpable in one crime, and you talk about your own kids, to me, and this is just me, I just feel like say she the worst in that situation there, because that's her child. And that child, I didn't put up the child's picture for a reason. But the child is not you can see say it's not his child. You know, and hurt people, you know. Mental health is real. It's just very disturbing, guys. I mean, I don't know what to think in the comment section. I don't know enough about the situation, like I don't know our history. I'm not trying to make no excuse here, but like I must say, this can't be somebody where she must go through something in her lifetime. She can't just like wicked, like, you know, like me not imagine say she just like wicked like that, just so like you know what I mean. So it's like, I don't know, man. You know, I pray that that child is in the bosom of the Most High in heaven. It really kind of had the last words. Let me know what you think in the comment section.